A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is very, very challenging for any speaker to be given the slot to speak right after a heavy lunch. Now, such predicament has got nothing to do with the subject matter that we're going to be deliberate upon. It's just simply biology, not intelligence. Now, it's even more challenging, I suspect, for a company with 18 years old of age trying to share a thing or two with a company that is 180th years of age, that you're about to celebrate your birthday right after lunch. Well, I think that goes beyond biology and intelligence. It's artificial intelligence. Well, honestly, guys, no puns intended. It is an amazing accomplishment. You don't have many companies around the world that has been around for that many years, 180th years birthday. If I could have more time, I would sing you a happy birthday myself right now. Congratulations. Now, let me begin by saying that it's such a great honor for me, my team, and of course, our partners, Procter & Gamble from China, to be present over here to share a thing or two about the story of Tencent. Now, in comparison to Procter & Gamble, Tencent is still a young child. I mean, 18 years old in your country, in the US. I guess you're not even allowed to buy a beer, I guess, when you're 18 years old, right? So we kind of actually stepping in a phase of life, if you like, that we call the coming of age. In fact, last year, we had our own ceremony of the 18 years old birthday. Now, a bit of myself, I have been privileged to be given the opportunity to be part of this crusading team. Tencent is 18 years old, and I have the chance to be part of the management team for the last 11 years. Now, throughout that entire crusade with Tencent, I realized that the very focal point of what drove our ability to grow and sort of became a resistant to disruptions, if you like, was nothing more than an undivided focus on user experience. Wow, that sounds very familiar, because that's exactly what you guys are trying to achieve in your, where's that Signal 2017 motto. Now, that basically means that I think we have a lot in common, and there's so much aspiration going forward, and there's so much inspiration that we are looking from one another to move forward. Okay, now, I'm going to quickly do a brief introduction of how we came into being Tencent and where we are today. Public records would suggest that today we are the 10th largest company in the world with regards to market cap. And I believe that history would one day then judge us, or rather recognize us, that the Tencent phenomenon rise in the ranking through the years is actually a direct correlation of that rapid digitalizations of Chinese people's life within the industry. Now, just like anything in life, I suspect there's really no direct causal relationship one way or another within such numbers. It was more like a perfect storm, if you like, of a network effect that was slowly taking place over the past 10 or 18 years. 2 decades might seem a long time, but you guys have been 180 years old. And what we have done over the last 2 decades, I guess, with many other entrepreneurs in China, and in fact, later on, 3 speakers after me, you're going to have a young chap that used to actually work within Tencent, and he's now a founder of his own company. And think about it, a product that commands a monthly active users of 35 million people, just working like for, you're going to listen to him later. Right, so it was the entrepreneurship that have been, many of us, that have been diligently working our days in and day out in shaping and redefining that digital lifestyles of our audience in China. Now, to joke a little bit, we used to, our age, people our age, we used to sing a song. I'm sure you know about this song. We talk about, we built this city. My God, you are old. I haven't even started, right? So come on, we built this city. We built this city with See, this is where you're wrong. Because in China, we didn't build this city with rock and rolls. We built this city with one and zeros. Well, the world today, in fact, every single of our audience in China, hundreds of millions of them, is literally walking around with a one and zeros, a mobile in their hand. And the world today probably know our company, Tencent, more as the WeChat company, if you like. Well, that's not surprising, because if you were to look at the combined monthly active user base of ours, we have WeChat and Weixin combined together that's hitting 938 million of monthly active users. What the overall numbers of the entire internet population in China is just about 731 million, you can see on the board. But Tencent, I would really love you to understand that Tencent actually goes beyond just being a WeChat company. And according to Mary Meekers, one of our greatest legends that we have true respect upon within our industry, Mary Meekers' internet report of 2016 clearly stated that Tencent represents more than 50% of the entire mobile internet traffic or usage, if you like, and larger than the entire market share of all the competitors combined. Now, you see, this is where things get very interesting. We move on from we built this city from rock and roll. Now we talk about Star Wars, right? Now, this is where, when I'm trying to talk about Star Wars to a newcomer that has got no prior knowledge about the entire franchise. I mean, how do you explain Darth Vaders and Skywalkers, you know, and what happened prior to WeChat? And how did WeChat become like 938 million monthly active users in just under 6 years? And what happened prior to that? The sequence and the prequels and all that. Well, I guess this chart will probably explain their doubts in a much easier manner. We call it the genesis of Tencent. To cut a very long story short, far, far away from the galaxy. Now, our very first product in the marketplace was what we called QQ. And that was back in 1999. And before that, we have WeChat today. Tencent has been proactively, continuously reshaping the lifestyles of the Chinese people. And today, Tencent as a company, we focus on two keywords that matter most to us. One, connector, becoming a connector of the society, and second, the content. As a connector, Tencent now provides a wide range of services to almost every aspect of our Chinese digital lifestyles. And as a content provider, it is important that having built that sort of an infrastructure digitally by connecting people, that was just the beginning. And by the way, today, nobody just talk about connecting with the people. People talk about connecting people with machines, machines with services and all that. So what's more crucial for us then was to help create, instill a sort of a macro environment, if you like, where great talent or great content fulfills various tangible, emotional, and spiritual needs of the Chinese audience. Does it make sense? It's very P&G. You know, those days when I used to work in Burnett's, we talk about one-page brief, emotional, you know, OTS, you know, one-page brief, frame-by-frame objectives and all that, you know. Those were the days. Well, you haven't moved on. My goodness. Are you still giving a brief to your agency, one page, whereby you do like point size 7, 6 maybe today? You know, machine can do that today, you know. Well, China, this is so fun. China today is moving at such a great speed, right? And where things can really change within an instant. And you know about this. For every single success story, there are probably thousands of hundreds of untold failure. And these days, even the most well-established businesses are actually not immune to disruption. Now, many have spoken about how internet companies such as us have actually disrupted the traditional industries. And I'm not referring to those maybe below 100 years old, you know. And in fact, many people actually label us as a villains that have stolen the cheese from the table. Goodness me, we don't even eat cheese in China, you know. But having said that, even disruptors can be disrupted. Now, we have our very own sets of challenges, our nightmares on the iron straits in whatever straits that we have back in China. And there are many crisis situations. For the past 11 years I've been in a company. Oh boy, I age a lot. Thanks to, this is Head and Shadow. Head and Shoulder, my goodness, yeah. Rejoice and all that. I used to put up my hair. Now, what are the challenges as a company such as us, technological company? What did we face? For example, the rapid technological advancement that were taking place within those individual product categories that we chose to compete upon. And you actually could see from the charts that we have shown with you just now, we literally are present in almost every sort of industry that we are in. Now, over the years, trying to tame that demands of the ongoing digital transformations, sometimes consumers, they are just like a huge, got to be very careful with my words. Consumers are a huge person with great desire. The more you feed, the more they want it. And then, that sort of a up-pent demand and so-called search for higher qualities of lifestyles and all that. And we just have to keep. There was once a point in time whereby we were leading the footsteps, but there comes a time whereby when there are footsteps about what desire and command or demand has stepped up to exactly where you are today, then that's where you'll be disrupted. And what about a disappearing demographic dividend that brought about compounded financial risk within the company? Now, all these challenges that I've mentioned just now, they are both clear and present danger, and of course, tectonic both in scope and nature. Now, that all sounds very, very daunting, doesn't it? Because it is. These are real facts of how a company became the 10th largest in the world just within 18 years. Now, speaking as a veteran of one of the veterans of Chinese internet company, one of the most important things that I have learned with my team has simply been this. We are living in an era where crises and disruptions are no longer be considered out of the norm. You know this. Crisis is the routine and disruptions happen to be the norm. Well, we, to use a figure of speech, if you like, had to learn to replace the engine while piloting the plane, which requires lots of courage, wisdom, effort, and of course, the elements of luck in China does help a lot. So probably maybe spend the next couple of moments in trying to share with you the 5 key elements or the 5 key words that have kind of defined who we have been and actually help us weather various types of stormy sea that we have actually gone through the years of our existence. Now, such concepts have become so ingrained in our culture today, and it's very important to our success, and we just simply refer to them as the accents of Tencent. The very first keyword that comes to my mind is actually technology. Voila. Isn't that surprising to you? I mean, especially since we're a technology company in that sense, and we then stating the obvious. Well, in Tencent's annual staff meeting last year, our beloved founder, Pony Ma, has said that we would have to transform ourselves from an internet company to one that's actually internet-enabled technology company. He made it clear that the source of our future competitiveness would lies in our ability to create, to capture, and to capitalize on the values of advanced technology. And this is coming from a technological company. Now, the implementation plan often actually costs the leadership team really sleepless nights in China, because we saw such changes as critical to the very survival of even us as a tech company. And why is that? Simply because when we are within that tech circle, I'm sure we have friends from Facebook, YouTube, and all that. You probably have the same powers that I'm talking about right now. We realize that technology is so fundamental to everything that is happening and that will happen in the near future. Now, we all heard about technological buzzwords such as artificial intelligence, deep learning, virtual reality, and augmented reality. Now, I heard from my colleagues that there was one of the speakers in the morning, they were saying that, when the whole world is talking about certain things, it is so buzz, and then very likely it will be like a crap. But our opinions are very different in this respect. Let me assure you that all these words that you're seeing right now, they are not buzzwords as if like they are fashion from Milan, because these are the real thing that's actually making their headways throughout China. China as a country today is the second largest in the world in terms of investment in artificial intelligence. As of last year, there are more than 170 cases of investment in China alone. And of course, the US as a company, as a country, far exceeds the size of capital investment and all that. But China is actually number 2, following very closely to the step foot of the US. Now, we have actually taken many, many baby steps with regards to incorporating some of such advanced technology into our various product offering and services. And AI, artificial intelligence for that matter, is actually far overshadowing the impacts of all the previous types of industry revolution implication that we have seen. And it has actually reshaped the relationships between people and relationship between people and the world that we're living in today. And today in China, we are actually applying AI in lots of scenarios to create greater value for our user. And some of these scenarios might actually surprise you.
Do you realize how much our appearance changes with time? We're often unrecognizable to someone who hasn't seen us in 5, 10, or 20 years. This is particularly relevant in the case of a lost or abducted child, where the years change him or her into someone totally different than the face in the dated photos his family use in their desperate search. But QQ Alert is here to help. Equipped with facial recognition technology based on convolutional neural networks and facial feature extraction, we have conducted billions of trials using a 10 million sample database. Trained by deep learning analysis of the patterns of facial changes, its AI system is able to automatically integrate the traces of time and match a child with the adult he or she grows into with a 99.8% accuracy. Now, changes are no longer challenges. No matter how long your child's been missing, simply upload his or her photos to our cloud. QQ Alert is able to process a huge database at a rate of 50 million photos per second, instantly presenting results that can bring the lost child home. So far, QQ Alert has facilitated 286 rescues, reuniting 176 families. Technology is changing the world and helping that which was lost to be found. Though we cannot stop time, with ever-advancing technology, we can shorten the time it takes to bring the lost home. QQ Alert. Hope never dies.
You've been very kind. You see, when technology is being put in the right place, right time, and of course, more importantly, for the greater good of humanity, the impact that you create is actually far more exciting than just having a job. Now, the second key phrase that mattered to us over the past 18 years is this key word that we call cross-pollination. Cross-pollination refers to the disseminations of technology and information or knowledge between multiple industries. Now, most of us here, in fact, are pretty familiar with the concept of IoT, Internet of Things. Now, since the internet was introduced as a concept about 2 decades ago, starting from one single tool within the industry to now unleashing a never-seen potential within various types of industry. Now, today, it is noted that in China, the digital economy contribution towards the entire GDP is actually 30.61%. of the entire GDP. Oh, that's a huge achievement because if you were to look at the numbers just 2 or 3 years back, it was certainly much lower than that. Now, how did China leapfrog into such a digitalized state? Obviously, the national policy of Internet Plus did help a lot. And why is that? Because with the policy of Internet Plus, some of the traditional industries such as finance, pharmaceutical, education, and you name it, and they have actually utilized the internet to rejuvenate their business models, their industries, the entire ecosystem, and then stimulate undefined and unfound growth from before. Now, such phenomenal growth in GDP was largely, again, due to entrepreneurship, due to public policy, and of course, the Internet Plus strategy that is actually just one of the biggest things that have happened in the past 5 years. Now, Pony Ma again says that the opportunity to create something new very often actually occurs when two diverse types of business sectors converge with technology, with new technology, and that's where this so-called new blue ocean is taking place. Now, I think this is some of the words that really worth taking in, because in the past, the MBA school or the business school that we used to attend, we talk about verticals, we talk about horizontal integrations and all that. But then today with internet, there's no line anymore within any industry that we're in. Well, if Pony wasn't convincing enough, what about good old Adam Smith, 1776, this good old Scottish man, not sure whether he was drinking whiskey or not, he was talking about the invisible hands of the market. Invisible hands of the market. The classic publications of Wealth of Nations, 1776. Well, to us, to me, the invisible hands of the market literally have finally found ways to create real, tangible economic values in a society through mobility, through cloud computing, data analytics, and of course, the Internet of Things. Now, those tools that I've just mentioned, they have blurred the lines of demarcations of various industries, and therefore it shows no hindrance to the space of imagination. The greatest things on earth is actually imagination and determination, because when you have that, everything seems to be possible. You can rock the city the way you wanted it to be. Now, as a result of that, that's the reason why we have seen such a high spirit of entrepreneurship in China over the past decades. The implication to many companies, many industries, Tencent included, is rather profound. To begin with, you may not realize that today we are not only hiring engineers, we have to start recruit talents from multiple types of industries. Banking and finance, agriculture, pharmaceutical and medicine, entertainment and automobile industry, just to name a few. So these are the various types of, it really reminds me of the Star Trek Enterprises, where you have different talents all, except, I still have hair, so I'm not come out of spark in that sense, right? Now, having to decide what to do, having to decide what to be directly involved in, and what sort of a strategic role we should take as a management or leadership of the company with regards to fresh opportunities that come day in, day out, would be the next challenge of our management wisdom. Now that then brings us to the third essential keyword that we'd love to share with you today, and that word is simply platform. Tencent today is a multiple platform company that exists to connect. And for a platform, is meant to maximize user value through connectivity. Now, our platform is not an economic mode, if you like, that is defensive in nature. And in fact, if one doesn't really truly appreciate the essence and the real meanings of platform wholeheartedly, it will be difficult to talk about co-creating values for any ecosystem. The values of a platform is not to safeguard oneself, rather to be inclusive and to create value for users, your developers, and other partners within that said platform. And in a nutshell, a platform really exists to bring benefits to areas beyond the castle that you have just built for yourself. So Tencent, back in 2011, we had our open platform strategy. I remember when I was in HBS, Professor Hill would have mentioned it when I was doing my AMP then. Back then, I didn't understand the concepts of platform. But today, apparently, this open platform, open system platform, that we openly share the traffic of a Tencent's platform with all third parties partners. Understand that for companies such as us, when we share traffic of our user, it basically means we share potential values, we share our clients, our potential future values of our revenues with our competitors and with any developers in the marketplace. And not only that, we even provided financial support for all these partners to build a commonwealth, if you like, that belongs to all of us. This is how we have been working on building a mega platform for the company way before the days of people talking about the concepts of O2O. Now, going forward, we are determined to facilitate the exchange of goods, exchange of services, and more importantly, the exchange of social currency to empower more value creations from our partners. Now, to accomplish that, we therefore launched this thing that we call Tencent Cloud, which we believe that will help our partners and customers and our clients to better develop their very own strengths within their business verticals. Cisco, in a very recent report, has mentioned that within the next 5 years, the biggest amount of traffic that was going to be happening in the space of internet is going to be from machine to machine. And mark my word, because Cisco has never been wrong in their projections in the future. Margin of error is like less than 1%. Now let's take a pause here. Just guess how many percentage of those data will be coming from China. I think it's going to be quite a lot because this country happened to generate the most amount of data that we have seen today. We have like billions of visuals being uploaded, billions, petabytes and all that being uploaded in voice, in chats, and in visuals and all that, all happening within the space of China. Now, cloud computing will be the very first step for any organization in China to aspire to unleash their ambition in the areas of ecosystem nurturing while transforming into a knowledge-driven and knowledge-based intellectual company. Now, the next key words that might be interesting to you is actually what we call the craftsmanship. Now, if you today ask any of our 40,000 employees in China that which might be the single most important keyword to them, and I bet with my last penny, they would probably say it, user experience. And maybe the second word would be stock exchange. They are stock options, Now, we believe that this is something that Procter & Gamble and Tencent have in common because both our companies, we talk about the same thing, is this philosophy of consumer first, right? You look at the chart yourself. I think this is where we are very much in tune together. Now, from the days of our inception, user experience has been the fundamental core values of our company. As we evolve, we realize that this devotion to excellent user experience could only be created by unwavering commitment and devotion to craftsmanship. And in order to illustrate this example, I'm going to bring back WeChat as an example, where WeChat actually covered more than 98% of the total internet market in China today in under 6 years. Now let's watch a video and to really learn more about how people's lifestyles in China with regards to WeChat. Well, how were we able to achieve such magnificent success, if you like, 938 million people spending 90 minutes averagely every day on such mega product? You see, through craftsmanship, by always putting consumer need first as your very first priority. In our early days of shipping out the products, engineers worked 24 hours a day, 7 days in a week, and multiple shipments were being sent within a night. And all this is actually in an effort to win the affections of our users. Now, such craftsmanship mindset or efforts finally paid off. Like I said, last year, 900 over million people, out of which half of them, 50% of these people, actually spend more than 90 minutes per day with this product. Now, some might think that actually when you are that big, you can't really innovate and evolve even further. And some might think it's actually not possible. But I don't think Procter & Gamble or Tencent would think in such a manner. Just as we thought that there was the best part a product could be, and in year 2016, the founding teams of WeChat, they announced to the world what they call the grand principle, defining that what we believe it takes to make a product even greater, even better. And according to Zhang Xiaolong, Alan, as we commonly know, the founder of WeChat, a good product is defined as one that's being used and then left. And what do we mean by that? It basically means the deeper connotation of this is that as a responsible company, we shouldn't think of only our self-interest, and which means we shouldn't invent unnecessary ways for people to spend or waste their time on our platform. And Alan believes that the only benchmark for a great product, it should be that people that they really wanted it, use it for what they wanted, and then they just buzz off. That should be the way. Now, in order to achieve such efficiency, there will be a lot of negotiations happening, tough talks and all that. And the underlying philosophy is really less is more. And that explains why some of our users are saying, actually, within the space of WeChat, we don't have a lot of advertising load, because advertising does bring us revenue, but that's not the reason why this product exists in the first place. So the bigger the company, the greater the temptation for us to allow executives to incorporate more features under the umbrella, or the worst still, under the pretext of diversified services. People always come up with key strategic words. But in the reality, that what we really needed to do is less is more. That's the most important thing. Now, finally, the last keyword, if there was one mother of all keywords that was important to us, is what we love to call integrity. And personally, I've spent more than half of my career in one single company. It's largely because of this single word. Now, your character is always far more important than your achievements or even your reputation. What a great word from legendary John Wooden. Now, what's more, the integrity of a company allows us to truly appreciate and understand the word responsibility, because there are things that thou shalt do and thou shalt not do, and not thou shalt do and thou shalt not get caught, Right. Now, moving on, there you are. You laugh, my goodness, I hope you're not doing something I don't want to know. Now, there are the 5 key words that we thought that have actually shaped us for the past 18 years, and I believe they will continue to make us who we are into the future, and I hope those are helpful. Now, when I reflect upon the past decades or so that my time within a company, I'm increasingly aware that this was not just a simple journey of how a company came into being. Rather, it was actually about how a digital nation was transformed, a digital society reform, and more importantly, the birth of a whole new digital infrastructure. Now, that new digital operation reality in China would continue to have a profound impact on every industry, on every company, and every dream maker that wanted to be part of this exciting journey. Now, going forward, what else can we expect from China? Well, that journey just started. It will not be as smooth sailing if companies or industry fail to realize that their China strategy has to be evaluated from the point of view of a digital economy. Hence, if I may, the new ABCs of how do we approach China digitally. A, not for Apple, A for artificial intelligence. You have heard about this many, many times. The AI revolution will create new organizational models, new product formats, new production methods that lead to the redefinitions of how people consume food, wash their hair, and etc. Now, it will ultimately disrupt and restructure the entire ecosystem that we are familiar with today. Now, let's just say that China will definitely not be left behind, because this country, under the leadership of the government, they aspire to be one of the most leading AI nations in the world. B, you know this, B for big data. It's been said that oil was the last currency of the last century, and today data is a new strategic competitive resources for the digital economy. Now, why is this being raised up again? Because I cannot emphasize the importance of this from the point of view of professional and academia, if you like, that by default, China will be the single largest market that will produce the largest amount of data going forward. And in the eras of big data, a key developmental strategy for all companies will be to break the industry barriers, boundaries, to create some sort of a cross-sector cooperation platforms. How do you cooperate? You cooperate by switching over data and all that, where big data is actually shared in a very, very win-win scenario. And to do this, you need cloud computing, C. Now, Pony has again said that the futures of great companies going forward will be one that knows how to master the processing of big data on the cloud with artificial intelligence. Now, that means the cloud will be the most important infrastructure of the digital economy in China. Now, it's suffice to say that in the past, we used to measure the state of the GDP of the economy of a country with the consumptions of electricity, but now people are going to look at it from the so-called the consumption of the cloud. Now, secondly, it also means that the cloud is also the power source to drive industry-wide changes. Cloud computing facilitates industry-level changes and upgrades, and therefore would further facilitate technological development. And finally, cloud will be the main platform for a new types of social management. Today, we are not just talking about brand building, we are talking about social engagement. Efficient, detailed, and new types of social management can be utilized through digital upgrades of the cloud and forming a highly connected interconnectivity world that can be known, can be managed, and some even aspire to control or empower, if you like. So, far from simple, those are the ABCs of navigating the futures of doing business in China. Welcome to China. And I believe that they will be keys to our winning formula in the years to come. In closing, let me just say that in the digital economy, a platform's ecosystem are nothing less than the foundations of a new value creation. And this is where the new playing field would be. And for Tencent, Procter & Gamble is a great strategic partner to us and respectable comrade. And there's so much that we could learn together, we could actually execute together, and of course, we could accomplish together. And I have no doubts that within the next decades or so, hopefully it doesn't have to wait that long, Tencent will, together with Procter & Gamble, connect more consumers, empower more businesses, and finally, more importantly, become the leaders of aspiration and innovation within our respective fields. You've been a great audience. Thank you so much.